people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
De la noche, Stephanie Piñeiro.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Can his body make it through another camp? I know he trains very hard. I know I know I have trained with sparring partners in my gym down here that have been in camp with him. He's brutal. He brutalizes his sparring partners. He boxes very, very hard in sparring, almost like a fight. So I think they're really testing the mechanics, the wheels, the engine, to see if all that can get through a training camp to get him into a big fight. Because at this stage, this is when those injuries start to keep you from fighting and may even end your career. It's what happened to me. It's what happened to the Klitschko brothers. You know, I wanted to keep fighting. My body was not willing. So I think they're going to test this out to see if he can get through a camp, get to a fight night, get in there and actually perform. But in terms of what's going to happen once that bell rings, I think Beterbiev is just going to be Beterbiev. That guy's a machine.
It's the first time I've seen anybody in the media express any kind of concern for the state of Artur Beterbiev now that he's 40 years old and coming off a loss, the first of his career. It's not like he looked like an old man in his last fight with Dmitry Bivol, and at the very most, that makes them 1-1 with each other.
Trilogy has fallen apart, and he is now set to be facing America's own Nicholson in November on the undercard of Benavidez versus Yard. What do we need to know about Nicholson?
Because we already know everything we need to know about Artur. 21 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 20 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 22 professional bouts. Former unified, former undisputed champion.
Know him. What do we need to know about Dion? Should we be worried?
Nicholson of the United States has about the same number of losses as Artur Beterbiev, but his loss, unlike Artur's lone defeat, was by way of knockout. Dion has been knocked out before, 4 years ago, on the undercard of a PBC on Fox show by Nigeria's own Efedibor Epochi, stopped in the 3rd round of a contest scheduled for 12. Sporting a professional record of 22 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 18 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 23 professional bouts. He's fought quite a bit since then.
Seems to have a hefty knockout percentage.
18 out of the 22 fights that he's won by way of knockout, though perhaps what stands out about Dion is what doesn't. But yeah, he's knocked a lot of guys out, a lot of guys who really weren't well-known or world-class.
Worth a damn.
Currently on an 8-fight winning streak while the former champion is on the rebound. Nicholson seems a serviceable enough fighter, a respectable enough fighter, that it's not a bad choice for Artur Beterbiev's comeback fight. Artur Beterbiev, who's fought a who's who of the somebodies in the light heavyweight division, a former U.S. Olympian in Marcus Brown, a reigning champion in Joe Smith Jr., a seasoned contender in Anthony Yard, a former champion and top contender in Callum Smith, and of course, a fellow champion like himself in Dmitry Bivol.
So why should anybody sweat Nicholson? What the hell has he done?
It's not so much about Dion, but Artur's age. That Artur is 40 years old now. That's a lot of winners, a lot of moons, a lot of fight camps, a lot of injuries, lingering injuries that don't quite go away. You've heard it said before that no fighter really goes into a fight at 100%.
There's always some.
Artur, the last 5 or 6 years or so, this is a guy who's often injured. He often ends up having to delay and postpone fights due to injuries, botched root canals, torn meniscuses.
A few years ago, I think he suffered a cracked rib.
Artur has been an injury-prone fighter for the last 5 or 6 years or so.
Nicholson is actually 5 years younger than Artur. Artur is 40, Dion is 35.
Look at Dion.
Look at him!
And he seems a serviceable enough fighter. Uses the jab, sets up his punches with it. His sweet spot seems to be mid-range. Doesn't stay too far away from the target. Stays with it.
Looks like a guy, he could give Artur some rounds. He could give him some work.
Though should we be concerned that Father Time is going to catch up to Artur, that he's getting on in age. And I'm not sure because he didn't look old in his last fight. He didn't look like a guy who's shot and shop-worn. He looked dangerous as ever. It's just that night, Dimitri did enough. Dimitri won more rounds. And Dion Nicholson is no Dimitri Bivol. Dion, for his part, has a similar number of fights as Artur Beterbiev, but nowhere near the same level of experience at this level against world-class fighters, world-class operators. This is a big step up in class for him. So even if Artur is 40 years old, 5 years older than Dion,
I'm expecting him to win.
tail of the tape, they're about even, both standing in at about 5'11" inches. Wingspan, about the same, 73 inches across. What separates them is their age and their experience level at this level. That Artur is light years ahead of Dion in terms of experience.
I'm really not mad that the trilogy between Artur and Dimitri fell apart. I was looking forward to seeing them fight, but if they don't fight, I relish any opportunity to watch Artur brutalize a guy.
It's a thing of beauty the way he beats these guys up. He's like an artist with those boxing gloves.
His fists are the paintbrush, and the other guy's blood is the paint.
So my perspective on the fight goes a little something like this.
Something like what?
How old was Dimitri Bivol when he lost the first fight to Artur?
33.
And how old is Dion Nicholson now?
35.
And is Dion Nicholson anything like Dimitri Bivol? Does he have the same level of experience, same resume, same accolades as a Dimitri Bivol? Does Dion Nicholson tick off on all those boxes?
No, he doesn't.
So my feeling is that based on that, Artur should win in November. Artur, in spite of his age and in spite of the wear and tear, he should still be able to get the job done against the guy who's been knocked out before. I think Dion Nicholson is about to get knocked out again.
Dion Nicholson, standing in place of Dimitri Bivol, who has filed for a medical exception with the IBF after his back surgery.
Dimitri Bivol will spend the rest of the year on the mend. He just hopes his current unified light heavyweight championship reign remains intact once he's ready to return to the ring. The lineal WBA, IBF, and WBO light heavyweight champion revealed on Friday that he is currently recovering from surgery for a lingering back injury. The development came more than a week after the deadline expired to reach an agreement with Michael Eifert for an IBF-ordered mandatory title defense. Following my doctor's advice, I had to undergo surgery for a past back injury which I've been dealing with for over 10 years, Bivol announced through his verified social media channels, but it kept getting worse with each training camp. Everything went well, and I'm feeling much better already. A 6 to 8 week recovery period lies ahead, after which I plan to start training again. 6 to 8 weeks, that's roughly 2 months. BoxingScene.com has learned that Bivol and his team plan to file for a medical exception given his current condition. The matter will still require approval from the IBF once received for the two-time and reigning light heavyweight king to not have to honor his overdue title challenge against Germany's Eifert. In previous instances, the IBF has been less than understanding of fighters in this situation. I remember Joe Cordina.
They stripped him.
After he became IBF champion in the Kenichi Ogawa fight, I remember that he suffered a hand injury, and I remember that the IBF didn't care. They stripped him. He had a mandatory challenger in the queue he was unable to satisfy because he busted his hand, and they didn't care. They stripped him anyway.
They might strip Dimitri Bivol.
Bivol was ordered to face Michael Eifert, the longtime IBF #1 contender, on July 1st. Little progress was made during their negotiation period, though Bivol, who is co-promoted by Matchroom and World of Boxing, asked for a 1-week extension before the sanctioning body would have to move towards ordering a purse bid hearing per its rules covering mandatory title fights. Eifert has been the IBF's #1 light heavyweight contender since March of 2023 when he beat former lineal champion Jean Pascal. The sanctioned title eliminator saw Eifert hit the road and upset Pascal via unanimous decision in the latter's hometown of Laval, Canada. It has been a very slow process to get Eifert into the title picture. The sanctioning body joined the WBC, WBA, and WBO in first allowing then unified and unbeaten champion Artur Beterbiev to meet Bivol in an undisputed championship clash. Bivol, 21-1, won their first meeting via a majority decision last October in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The IBF ordered Beterbiev, a two-time Russian Olympian who now lives and trains in Montreal, to face Eifert. However, an exception was granted for Beterbiev to instead face Bivol in an immediate rematch, with the condition that Eifert was guaranteed to next face the winner. Bivol won their February 22nd sequel, also via majority decision in Riyadh. He subsequently vacated his WBC title in lieu of an ordered title consolidation clash with David Benavidez, another one of his mandatories. The idea at the time was to enter a rubber match with Beterbiev, but the matter of Michael Eifert still lingered for months without any real resolution. There was a point when the targeted third fight was destined for Russia. Financial backers for the proposed event were prepared to pay even more than they would have made on Turkey El Al-Sheikh's Riyadh season circuit. However, Beterbiev placed the blame solely on Bivol for the trilogy clash never seeing the light of day. He has instead moved on to a stay busy fight with Alabama's Dion Nicholson on El Al-Sheikh's loaded November 22nd show in Riyadh. It was never guaranteed that Bivol would have been granted permission by the IBF to again face Artur. He was out of exceptions, absent of a medical issue, though his current reported state should at least allow him to hold the IBF title until he's given a clean bill of health.
Even if he's fortunate enough to get this exemption from the IBF, what that means is that upon his return, the first guy he'll have to face is Michael Eifert, and that is in a best-case scenario. They don't strip him,
They let him keep the belt long enough for him to recover and come back, but when he comes back, he can't fight Artur again right away. He can't fight anybody else. He has to fight Michael if he wants to keep the red belt.
and that's in a best-case scenario.
The IBF will now have to rule on Bivol's requested medical exception, as well as on what to do with its title status in the meantime. Rule changes from its most recent convention have allowed for more liberal use of approving interim title fights. That said, injured title holders have long served as the primary condition for such granted status, but at the same time, this is an outstanding mandatory that's been mandatory for roughly 2 years now. Step-aside agreements have already been reached more than once.
And on that predication, I'm not sure that the IBF will allow Dmitry Bivol amnesty. I could see them stripping him.
Dmitry Bivol insists he will come back stronger than ever in 2026, though without offering a hint of whom next he would face. Thank you for all your support, Bivol told his fans. I look forward to new challenges in the next year.
So maybe Dmitry didn't offer a hint as to who he's going to end up fighting next, but he really doesn't have to. Because if he is lucky enough to get this exception from the IBF, he'll have to fight Michael next. It has to be Michael.
I've seen Michael. Michael Eifert, young guy.
Can't punch.
He's a boxer, he's a mover, he's a jabber. And a fight between him and Dmitry Bivol is not to my fancy. That stylistic matchup, it doesn't make for fireworks. The question now is, what's the right thing to do? What's the prudent thing to do? And what's better for the division? What's better for boxing? To allow Dmitry to keep the red belt, or to strip him of it and give it to Michael?
If they strip him of it, it's not a bad thing. If they strip Dmitry of the belt and give it to Michael, Michael will probably become the most sought-after fight in the light heavyweight division. More sought after than David Benavidez or Artur Beterbiev, because Michael would be the weakest link. Michael would be the low-hanging fruit to a Joshua Buatsi, to a Callum Smith, a David Morrell.
If they strip Dmitry of the title and give it to Michael, everybody's gonna come after Michael.
Artur would come after Michael. In that situation, Artur would have two separate paths to an alphabet title, not including a Dmitry Bivol rubber match. The fight with David Benavidez for David's WBC, and in this scenario,
Fight with Michael Eifert for the IBF.
so what do you think? Would it be better for the IBF to let Dmitry keep that belt, or would it be better for the division to strip him of it and let some other fighters fight for it? What would you guys prefer?
This allows us to now segue to what is fast becoming one of the more popular segments here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail. Guy who goes by the name Mike B. Johnson said, Bivol ducked Beterbiev, for 10 years, then a Canelo rematch at 175.
That's what his real problem is.
Then Benavidez, now Beterbiev 3. His back didn't hurt when he became a millionaire from Canelo and Turkey El Afriki fighting Beterbiev, right? Motherfucker's back didn't hurt when he was on vacations and playing soccer and other activities. He's an official duck with this BS.
BS is your comment. BS is claiming that Dmitry Bivol ducked Artur Beterbiev for 10 years when it's Artur's promoter that poured cold water on that fight. It's Bob Arum who more than once shut that whole thing down. What are you, retarded?
This is the kind of person you can't waste good logic on. You can only study them and their level of stupidity, their level of cognitive dissonance, because it's a matter of public record that while Dmitry and Matchroom were pursuing that fight with Artur, the people on Artur's side didn't want to do it because they said Dimitri's boring.
It's a matter of public record.
Then claiming that Dmitry Bivol has anything to duck in Canelo Alvarez, who he beat easily while on first gear, who he beat while on cruise control.
You're joking, right?
Another Canelo Alvarez stan. They've become quite vocal the last few weeks, the last few months. Their nerves are getting to them. Consider that Canelo Alvarez very much is the face of boxing. Any fight that Canelo wants to make, he can make. But he didn't make that one.
If he wanted to get revenge on Dmitry, he would have made the fight. 168, 175, whatever.
He would have made the fight. If Canelo didn't make the fight, it's because Canelo didn't want to make the fight. What, you're fighting Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga and these guys? These kinds of people? From how bad you want to fight Dmitry? Give me a break.
I'm a fan of Canelo, but give me a break. This is the kind of shit where I draw the line.
The day that Canelo Alvarez wants to cut me a check to run spin for him on this channel, I'll be happy to do that. But until such a time as that happens, I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to tell it like it is. And the way it is, Canelo didn't want that rematch with Dmitry, because if he wanted it, he would have got it.
And pussies like you don't actually want him to have a rematch with Dmitry.
Pussies like you are scared that if they fight again, Dimitri's gonna hit another gear. He's gonna take it to another level, and he might actually stop Canelo the next time out. So stop pretending that Dmitry has anything to run from in Canelo, who he beat easy. I'm a fan of Canelo, but that's the truth. Dmitry beat that guy all without having to get out of first gear.
He ain't got nothing to worry about in Canelo, and we already saw it.
Then we get over to the Artur stuff, pretending that he's ducking Artur, who he pursued for years and already fought 2 times. Oh, now he's ducking Artur because he needed to undergo a medical procedure. I guess by this reckoning, Artur Beterbiev must have ducked Meng Feng Long of China, since Artur's injury saw that fight outright canceled. Oh, that sounds stupid to you. Well, that's because it is, but that's the kind of logic this guy's using. This original thinker.
Seen Artur Beterbiev go from injury to injury to injury for the last 5 years, so that the moment Dmitry has an injury, he's gotta be ducking? No, you're just dick sucking, you pole-smoking clogget.
Clogget!
Punk pussy-ass bitch.
Clogget!
Shut your mouth before you get your speaking privileges revoked. You only write what I let you write, you little prick!
Clogget!
The nerve of these guys, that's a problem with social media. Some people you can't be social with because they're too stupid.
No reasoning with these morons.